What's up, campers? Frozen Whispers here with 4 quick tips on how to make your house awesome. Tip 1. Depth. You can make a nice looking house without having any depth, but it can feel like it's missing something. By adding depth, it will give your house a special quality that many builders forget to add. As you can see, the wall here looks pretty nice, but it is lacking depth. And if we come around this way, you can see what the wall could look like with depth added. It allows you to add a lot more features and generally makes the house look a lot nicer. Here's a quick example of how you can take just a basic wooden wall and give it a lot of depth to make it look nicer. By adding just a few changes that set part of the wall back, it allowed me to add the features of the fence posts, use slabs and stairs to give it an interesting look, and opened up a space for me to put in a window. Tip number 2. Shape. The easiest houses to build are usually square or rectangle houses. And although there's nothing wrong with building a square house, by adding a little bit of shape to your design, it can really make it stand out. Take this house for example. Many of the rooms are rounded, which gives it a lot more of an interesting look than it would if it had just been square. Coming up with an interesting shape for your house can be difficult, and if the space you have to build in is limited, it can be even more challenging. But it doesn't always have to be something quite as intricate as a house like this. One simple one to do, especially when you're limited on space, is just to make a T. And if you did want to do something with rounded edges, it could be something as simple as taking out the blocks in the corner and just making a diagonal. One other tip when working with shape is that sometimes you can have the second level of your house be a slightly different shape than the bottom level of your house. For example, I could make the front of the house here flat and make it a balcony. You can also make the second story of your house slightly bigger or smaller than the ground floor, which can give it an interesting, unique look. Then you end up with something that looks a little bit like this. With just a few modifications to the shape of the house, you can end up with something that looks a little bit more unique than just having it be square or rectangle. Tip number 3. Variety. Some of the easiest materials in Minecraft to obtain is cobblestone and dirt, and although you can make a house entirely out of cobblestone, it kind of looks like you just hollowed out the inside of a rock, or maybe like living in a cave. But the cool thing about Minecraft is that there's dozens of different kinds of blocks for you to choose from to build something that looks really awesome and is totally unique. So instead of having a house that's just entirely cobblestone, you can make something that looks a little bit more like this. By adding in some wood and some clay and logs to outline the whole thing, and putting in some windows to let a little light into the house, it can make it look totally different and really cool. So when you start building your house, just ask yourself, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite block? What kind of blocks look great together? Blocks that have contrasting colors usually go really great together. Things like quartz and lapis lazuli, or spruce logs with oak planks, and emerald blocks. And putting stone with wood always looks amazing. So why build a house out of one material when you have dozens of colored, unique blocks that you can mix and match together to make something that looks really nice? And lastly, the fourth tip is detail. You can make a pretty nice looking house by having a unique shape and a variety of different blocks making up the outside. But it can still feel like it's missing something, and that's detail. With just a few modifications, you can make a boring house look amazing. For this house, I added the stubs on the outside of the pillars to give it more depth. On the stubs, I put buttons. You can do either stone or wooden, but for this one I did wooden because I thought they stood out a little bit more to the dark color of the wood. Next, for this house, I took cobblestone slabs and connected each of the pillars. The next thing I did was I took wooden fences and I connected them to the outsides of the pillars. Next thing I used was wooden trapdoors. And this is a nice feature because it makes it look like shutters on the outside of the windows. On top of the slab beams that I added, I put grass blocks. And for these, we're going to put trapdoors on the outside of these as well, and make them look like flower beds. And then we'll just pick out some flowers that we like, and add them to all of the flower pots. And for the final touch, I'm going to put some vines on the outside of the house, just wherever there's some space left. Now with the added features, the house looks like this. So those are 4 tips on how to make your house awesome. If you're building your house and you like the way it's going but you think it could be better, just ask yourself, what could be added? Does it have depth? Does it have shape? Does it have variety? Does it have detail? Thanks for watching!